Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. With me, I have the great pleasure of having Dinesh Kashikar. Kashi, as most of you all know, he's the director of teacher training for Global Sri Sri School of Yoga in India, and he's part of the curriculum design team before for more than 15 years and training aspiring yoga teachers in various dimensions of study and practice of yoga. But as all of you know, Kashi actually joined with us in 91. And so he's our batchmate. And I'm sure everyone is really surprised that, hey, what's going on. So I must also add that he was in my class, chemical engineering, my hostel two. We spent many an evening or night trying to study. I think the word is trying to because some of the things were just really hard to get our minds around. But I'm sure Kashi had bigger things to do. So Kashi, welcome. And so the lead up question is, tell us about your journey and what motivated you to get into what you're doing right now.
Thank you, Jay. That was a very, very nice introduction. And I must say that we did many, many more things other than actually trying to study. And I think that not trying to study part was quite substantial. So, you know, as we went through IIT, all of us had some quest, I'm sure. And and somewhere I feel we all try to fulfill that quest, fulfill that goal, or achieve something, and we have somewhere to go to, somewhere to reach. And I tried to see if I could find that in academics, in theater, and I remember PAF and doing all those things. And when I met Gurudev, Shri Shri Ravishankar it just it just gave meaning to my life. In a certain sense, it's like there was a calling from within saying that, hey, you've done so many things. This is something that you must try. And that's how I got introduced to the art of living. I mean, I remember I went to H5 and in Maila's Rajesh Krishnamurthy, who was, I don't think anyone knows him as that, and everyone calls him Maila. So I went to his room and there I saw a photograph of Gurudev. I still remember it was a calendar, green background, white clothes, and red rose in hand. And something just clicked within. And I think that's what started me off on this journey. And that's what made me flip from academics to something completely different. And that's why you see me in this format uh, today. I think for me, as I went through that journey, it just kept getting reinforced. I think every person, every one of us has sat sometime, watched a sunset, wondered, what am I doing? What's the purpose of my life? And and sometimes we tend to push that away in the sense that, hey, I have so many things to do. I'll think about it when I finish everything else. I think for me, that question just took center stage, and that's what propelled me on this journey. Somehow IIT gave me that confidence that, yaar, kuch bhi ho jaye, I don't think I'll ever have to worry about my bread and butter. I'm sure I'll be able to put my wits together and get something going. And I think that's the biggest thing that IIT really gave me, that confidence to know that things will be taken care of. And having a guru in life really reinforces that confidence. Um, so for me, I actually dropped off after my fourth year and went to the ashram, stayed there. I usually like to now say I took a sabbatical, but actually I just said, let me just do what I wanted to do. And Gurudev sent me back and said, no, nothing doing, finish your studies, and then you can come back. So I came back, finished my thesis. I mean, most of us remember 4 years we did coursework, and then fifth year for us was complete lukhagiri. We just had the thesis. And to see that all my batchmates had graduated and just few of us were there from our batch, it was anyway quite different. I mean, it was quite I would say at that time probably a little depressing, because you see all your batchmates have gone and you're the only ones who are kind of sticking on campus. I guess maybe all of this contributed me to looking for meaning in life a little deeper. After I finished graduation, I think I finished finally in 98. And I said, then let me just pursue what I really want to do. Many of us have this choice. We want to do something and we end up having to do something else. I think I really got lucky that I could do what I really wanted to do. And at that time, I guess many people looked at me and said, IIT, ashram, come on. I mean, my parents really exploded. Friends and well wishers. I remember Professor Joeker, SLNM, all of them. They were really they're such genuine people. I mean, they really had my good interests at heart, and they counseled me so nicely. And I even now, thinking back to all those days, it feels so nice that we had such genuine people as our guides and professors. But somehow, I think for me, everything was just set. I plunged in headlong. I gave my 100%. And in those days, we were just 5 or 6 people in the ashram with Gurudev, and it was a very wonderful time that I could spend. And when I look back at all these years, I see that, hey, I think I did make a right decision. And when I look back at all those years, I never ever feel that, hey, I think I should have done something else. And I think that's something that's really so valuable, that I can look back at my life and not want to change my past. uh, don't you think so?
That's fantastic. But I think you should also narrate that you did try to use your chemical engineering degree when you were trying to put together the what is it, the natural, the herbal stuff that you were trying to produce at the ashram,
Absolutely,
right? So you
absolutely,
can probably tell
absolutely.
tell people about this.
I there was it was very interesting because in the midst of all the spirituality, all of these things, the the organization, the institution that I joined, it's called Ved Vigyan Mahavidyapeeth. And one of the things that we are really looking at is the linkages between Ved and Vigyan, the ancient Vedas and modern science. Many people tell this that, hey, it's all there in the Vedas, but no one ever comes down and sits down and says where is what, and tries to decode some of these things. So Ved Vigyan Mahavidyapeeth, as part of that, when Gurudev realized that I was also academically qualified, he put me in charge of the research wing. And so a bunch of us, myself, Prashant Rajare, who's, I think he was 1 year junior to us, um, all of us got together, and we we tried to see what we could do, how we could put together some of these ancient tools and techniques and see how relevant they are to modern science. I personally worked on some of the furnace designs, and the way India used to handle zinc was actually phenomenal. And if you look at some of the mines in Rajasthan and how they would do this zinc smelting, it's fascinating to see how they could manage those temperatures and kind of create that pathway for such precise control. It was like a really amazing process control design that was there. And so I wrote a paper on that. I mean, agreed. I mean, it was like not my main activity, but yeah, I did put together a lot of my process design and furnace design principles into practice at that time, and something really nice came out of it. And it feels so good that all that ancient knowledge that is there actually gets validated by modern science, and it kind of ties into what we're doing today. So yeah,
That's
that's a
great. That's
good.
great to
I
hear.
remember.
I'm sure you must have done more chemical engineering after graduation than many of our batchmates from chemical engineering. So that's good to hear, despite the fact that you apparently gave up and went to the ashram. So that's great to hear. So Kashi, can you also give us a glimpse into what are the challenges that all of us sitting outside say, "Arey, ashram mein kitna aish hai. They are so peaceful. They're so kind." What are the challenges? I mean, I'm sure there are. Can you shed light on some of them?
One of the biggest challenges in an ashram is the prejudice that you kind of experience. Many people think that, well, this is not for me, or this thing is religious, or hey, what you're doing is completely irrelevant. And I remember a lot of times when I would give introductory sessions to people, especially outside India, then the kind of prejudice that I experienced in the early days um, was for me, it was a character building exercise. It was really something that I could go through, and it built strength for me within. But I still remember it was in those days people used to think yoga was something that is not mainstream. Meditation was something completely cuckoo. I mean, we've come a long way in these 25 years since I graduated. And in fact, I feel this is the biggest challenge that I went through. Within an organization, Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji says very beautifully that every organization has char अच्छे, char कच्चे, or char luच्चे. So there's always this combination of all kinds of people everywhere. But we had this amazing ability to go through situations because of our spiritual practices, and I think that's what brought us back together. Of course, we all had our shares of disagreements, and we would have some kind of push and pull in different directions. We all wanted to do different things, but at the end of the day, I think the yoga, the meditation, the spirituality really helped us to stay together. I think this is something that happens in every family, every organization, and it's more important how we handle it rather than saying we should never fight. I think somewhere where there's no fight is actually very unhealthy, but the ability to handle that is key. And I think this is something that really spilled over to my teaching, because all my teaching thus became something that was from very practical experience, and that's what I see started resonating everywhere. So even though there was prejudice, then over the years I slowly started seeing that there is also receptivity. The third thing that really I would say was a challenge was, of course, in the early days, resources. We were in an ashram, and I still remember we used to have 24 hours electricity in a week. Uh, so
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of things were definitely challenging, but I think it was all worth it. It was like the foundation that's unseen that allows the building that's seen to come up so beautifully.
That's interesting to hear. I hope you're not revealing secrets that you guys even have fights, because I'm sure people would think that there are no fights in certain places. But as you said, it's supposed to be healthy. So, I have met you at reunions, and you are quite active in terms of reunions, which is surprising to me because I must reveal to many of our batchmates that Kashikar, I cannot be your friend on Facebook. I can only follow you. So that's the status you've achieved. But I find it amazing that you still are very approachable. You come to reunions. So what do you look forward to this reunion? Because it is like the 25th year. Of course, you in your yogic sense would say, what is 25 years in a lifetime? But yet, for us, mere mortals, for us, 25 years is important. So it's just a marker. I think it's also the point in time where we say, okay, what can we see in ourselves going forward? So, what do you look forward to in the reunion and just getting together as a class again once again?
For me, I really look at myself as a student of the mind. Yoga is all about the mind. I think the whole practice of spirituality is all about the mind, how we are, what we are inside. And and for me, therefore, like the fact that you brought up that 25 years is nothing, for me there is something timeless about relationships, about the way all of us came together. There is something that's I remember, I think I went to campus maybe 2 years, I think last year, just before I went to the US last year. I flew out from Bombay, so I went over to campus. I met Professor Joeker. I just wandered about on campus, and it's as if I never left campus. I mean, there's something that connects all of us together to the hostel, to our department, to all those places that we frequented, the Maggie shop and the coffee shop. I think I think that's what really a reunion is all about, to reunite with those experiences that really sculpted us in a certain sense. And in a certain sense, I would say yoga is reunion. Yoga is reuniting with the self. And every reunion, when I meet all of us, whom we all spend time together to relive those CAC sessions, to chit chat again, I never feel that I'm there to on a high horse talking to someone else. For me, it's all us, and it's so beautiful to travel back in time. I think time travel is truly this and nothing else. And so for me, this reunion, especially since it's virtual, I would say that every reunion we only have a few people attending, because physically to come over there, it's almost impossible for a lot of people. But this year I look at it as a great opportunity, because I think we should have more than 90% attendance, because it's
Absolutely.
online. And I think this is what I realized in this half year of teaching, because all my courses, yoga courses, meditation, used to be in person. But ever since the lockdown started, I've become even more busy, because my audience has increased, and I can sit in one place and really reach out. And I think this is what the reunion is all about this year. So I look forward to reconnecting with so many of my batchmates. And of course, wherever I travel, I do connect. So in the US, I had connected with so many of my batchmates when I was traveling, and so it's so nice that we can do this online.
That's great to hear. So I think this year we will not be able to have a physical yoga session, but as you are saying that maybe we can have a virtual session with all of our batchmates. And next year we'll have our the juniors, the next batch too. So maybe both of the batches coming together and having a session. That will be a lot of fun, because I think the experience of all being together in the hostels and interacting, that was a lot of fun. So I also look forward to that. So thank you so much for this really nice, I know short session, but I think it was fantastic to talk to you. I really look forward to meeting you again, and hopefully we will get past this pandemic, and we'll be in better times
Absolutely.
soon. Yeah.
One more thing that I'd like to say, Jay, is really that us 5 year MTechs, I guess we are lucky in that sense that we can geese into both batches. We came in with you guys, and I think we passed out with the next batch.
नहीं
So,
नहीं,
so
don't
essentially,
take credit for that. हम सब लोगों का घीस मारने का आदत है. So we will get into everything. Don't worry about that. हम लोग we would have come next year also. So don't worry about that. Don't think that it is only uniquely you guys. Okay. So don't get off that high horse. Okay. We are also there. All the
absolutely,
Valpis, we would get into eat the gulab jamun and the paneer, which
absolutely.
I'm sure many of us don't want to eat anymore. So
I think the geesing was more important than the gulab jamun.
yeah. No, exactly. The value of geesing was there. If there was no geese, then what's the joy? There was no joy in that. Yeah. So great. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
once again. It was great chatting with you. Take care and good luck.
Thank you, Jay. Bye.